36% of people actually bite the heads off of their animal crackers first. Serial killers, right? But then think about it. Do you do it?
I don't know if I should disclose this. Just before we started, you told me your full title. So I'd like you to state it for the camera, for our watchers and listeners, and explain what it means.
Sure. So I am head of consumer experience and media across the Americas. So what that means...
Consumer experience.
Consumer experience.
That can mean so many things, Megan.
You know, it really can, and it does.
Yeah.
So we used to very much be the guys in the basement, running reach frequency, having our calculators out, the media guys. We evolved over the past 5-6 years.
You've been allowed out of the basement.
We have been. We get a seat at the table now.
That's amazing.
Proverbially.
Okay, and what does that mean?
It means that now we also oversee content strategy, organic social. We really look at data, Gen AI, all of the tech capabilities that we need in order to really grow our brands into this next era.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Mondelēz is a new word that did not exist at some point, maybe 10?
Yeah, 12 years ago.
12 years ago, the word Mondelēz did not exist in the world. Can you please tell everyone what it means?
It means, I believe, of the world. So there was a contest.
Mond. World.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so there was a contest. Mondelēz used to be a part of Kraft. In fact, some of our heading on our old legal contracts, we still see Kraft in sort of the bones and the DNA of who we are. But Mondelēz was born as something that was different, and to be a little bit more pushing on innovation, pushing on how we think about brands, how we invest for growth. And it's been incredibly successful with a consistent leadership team over the past decade.
I'm interested to know trends in the CPG industry that you see shaping brand marketing. And I'll just kind of add a layer to the question, like most of the other interviews that we've been doing today have not been with CPG marketers. So I want you to put like the CPG spin on it, right? Like through that lens, brand marketing 2026, what are things happening that are affecting the way you're thinking about what your job is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, and this is not fluff, I really believe this, I am incredibly fortunate to be a steward for brands that are epic. And what do I mean by that? We have brands that we work with from Oreo to Cadbury that have been brands for hundreds of years in some cases. Cadbury just celebrated their 200 and something birthday.
That's insane.
It is wild. And with that comes a great deal of pressure and honor because it means we're standing on the shoulders of giants in really getting the stretchiness of a brand, introducing it to a new era, and really making these brands as relevant as ever in the era that we're in today. Now, how we do that in CPG is really interesting at the moment, right? If you look at the U.S. As a key, CPGs everywhere. You can look at the earning reports across all of our friends today.
Yep.
It's tough out there.
Yep.
It really is tough.
Tough out there for a cookie brand.
It's tough to be a cookie,
Yep.
but we're tough cookies, you could say.
Silver platter. Continue.
So we very much, as our brands need to be growing, we are in a point where we are also taking money away from that. So in a world of increasing fragmentation, in a world where we very much need to be creating meaning for a new generation of people, it's harder than ever to do that from a comms standpoint.
Yep.
And we're trying to do it with less money than ever and trying to make more relevant and more volume of ads for our consumers.
So without realizing it was a perfect segue, because I was thinking about my next question for you, and I think it's really interesting in light of what you were mentioning about the sheer age of some of the brands that you work on, and that is balancing brand equity building. And in some cases, you're not building brand equity. You're like a steward, right, until the next person comes along, with driving modern day relevance, right? So that's a really interesting thing to think about with a 200-year-old brand like Cadbury, or even some of the younger but iconic brands like the Oreos of the world, right? So the question is, how do you balance those when you think about your planning?
It is a tension that exists in the system for a reason.
Yeah.
And we have some incredible incredible marketers who very much are the voice of the brand within our organization. It means my team absolutely needs to show up to be the voice of the consumer in how we work. It also means that we need to bring in the experts, and we work very closely with Vayner as a key example.
The experts.
The experts on platforms, because it's a convergence of what is going to be the best creative that is going to work on these platforms. What is the content that really is going to be able to break through for consumers? And that's where it's going to be a mix, where if you look at media plans from 10 years ago, it was entirely brand-led communications, even in social channels. If you look at Oreo Dunk in the Dark, it was a cultural moment, but it was still very much about the brand. Now we've really evolved where we need to have a mix of content that ensures that it is also co-creation with consumers, that it ensures that we are in a place that it's going to be distinctive and break through, but still have some of those distinctive assets that create sort of that painting with the dots. That if you zoom out, you can see that it makes sort of the entire brand image of what we want to communicate. So it's exciting. It's not easy. There's some brands, the work that we've been doing on Nutter Butter as an example, which Nutter Butter was a brand that didn't have sort of the same incredibly stable and stringent brand foundations as an Oreo. But it kind of gave us the freedom then to really listen to the consumers, get from them what they wanted to see and hear and talk about in the community that they were building, and then identify what the role of the brand would be, which is a testament to, when you have a big house of brands, how you need to treat each one a little bit differently based off of where they are in the maturity journey.
So I ate Nutter Butters as a kid.
They're
and
so
I
good.
Always pulled them apart. I don't know why. Like Oreos I dunked, Nutter Butters I disassembled.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you did with your Nutter Butters?
I ate them whole, but it's really interesting. So we do a lot of research in how people consume snacks. And we find that snacks are one of those things because it's very personal. It's something you
Super
eat,
personal.
something you share with friends and family.
Right.
It's something that you put into your body. It is as personal as you get. And where you find real interesting bits that you can then bring into communication is the weird ways, and it really is weird, that people play with their snacks. Oreo, you twist, lick, and dunk. It's a little bit of a playful thing. Animal crackers, we learned that this 36% of people actually bite the heads off of their animal crackers first.
Everyone bites the head off the animal cracker.
Serial killers, right?
Right.
But then think about it. Do you do it?
I don't know if I should disclose this on a broadcast medium.
But when you can get to that point, and again, that's something that really brings in the product truth. It brings in the brand. It brings in the consumer, and really sort of the rich, interesting insights that you can glean from that. When you can then turn that into something that is going to resonate with other people, that brings that relevancy to the table, and again, gives that brand a new meaning in a new era with staying true to its foundations.
Amazing. That's all from Marketing for Now with Megan Johnson. We're going to go have some animal crackers and see how we eat them. Thanks so much. We're back with our next guest on Marketing for Now, James Finn. Welcome, James.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hello. James is the SVP of Global Brand and Content Marketing for Audible.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
I do feel like, and I'm sure you hear this a lot, I have the best job in the world.
Also a great voice. I was trying to get you to talk because your voice sounds like you should be doing narration of books.
That's very nice of you to say.
Yeah, it was a ploy. All right. But we're going to dive right in because you have a really interesting job, and I don't think people realize the amount of creativity, and I happen to know that you have an immense background in entertainment marketing, and what you have brought to Audible in thinking about how to market original IP has been incredible over the last couple of years. I mean, people are noticing, James.
I appreciate that.
So I'm going to ask you a first question, and this will be interesting because of your background. How does Audible use the content itself, the podcasts, audiobooks, and original programming to reinforce the brand identity of the platform?
What we say at Audible is there's more to imagine when you listen. And when we look at IP and we look at projects, like we did a project recently with Andrew Garfield called 1984. It's an adaptation. We were able to bring in a lot of new listeners because of his fan base, because of Book Talk, because of all of these external forces that were intrigued that may not have listened to an audio project before.
Yeah.
So we tap into the cast, we tap into the story, and a lot of times we're tapping into the creators as well. We work with President Barack Obama and Mrs. Michelle Obama. They bring quite an audience as well on their projects. So
That's incredible.
It's really showing up where they are and enabling them to have their own voice.
So you mentioned the word creators, which is a
Yes.
great segue to my next question, which is about partnerships.
Yes.
So how do your partnerships, whether it's with authors, creators, or other brands, I mean, you mentioned Andrew Garfield, that's a little bit different, but how do partnerships help Audible expand your reach? So you mentioned one example, right? So you have
Yeah.
like a person and his fan base.
Right.
So what are some other ways that you've noticed that work?
I have something a little different. We just recently partnered with Crayola this year.
Amazing.
And again, we're focused very much on imagination. They're focused on creativity. What it enabled us to do was introduce these amazing audio stories to students, to teachers, to classrooms, and allowed them to kind of articulate what that would look like visually through using Crayola. So it was this amazing partnership that I felt there was equal benefit across both companies, but it was just a great connection
Wow,
for the
that is so
customer.
cool. Yeah, that is really neat. How long have you been at Audible now?
A little over 3 years.
3 years, okay. Tell me one thing that thematically will be new or different for Audible in 2026 versus 2025.
I would say that our aim and my focus is to go a lot more where the new customer is, where the potential new listener is,
Okay.
rather than insisting they come to us. So what I mean by that is that could manifest itself through experiential, could manifest itself by sampling on other services,
Yeah.
working with other social platforms or other businesses. So they don't necessarily have to come to us as a first step. We are going to go to them, and we're going to do that pretty aggressively.
Experiential in 2026 is going to be huge,
Yeah.
right? Like live things is going to become more and more important. You did some things in 2025.
Yep.
Tell me one of your favorite things you did experiential at Audible in 2025. I mean, there's still a couple months left, but so far.
Sure. I think one of my favorite things that we did was we showed up at Sundance, and we brought John Hamm to Sundance for a project we were working with. And in essence, what we did is we created this lodge, this space that was open to everybody who attended Sundance.
Okay.
And they could sample, they could listen to content, they could participate and be part of panels. They could learn more about what our brand ethos was and what our brand means as far as our social impact and efforts. And we showed up authentically and strong. We didn't show up as just a brand at Sundance. We showed up as a storytelling company.
What was like? Was it themed? Like, what was the theme of the lodge?
Storytelling. It was all around storytelling.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily around one medium,
Yeah.
but how storytelling and voice is critical and really foundational to storytelling. If you think about storytelling in general, it was conveyed by voice. It wasn't written down at
Amazing.
the very beginning.
Last question. One CMO in the any industry you think is crushing it?
I would say Julia at Lego. They're doing an incredible job. They're doing a lot of unexpected things.
Yeah.
They did a partnership with IKEA.
Yeah.
They did a partnership with Dune.
Yeah.
I feel like, and the efforts they do with customers where they ask them, what should we make? And they say, no, we want to have the set of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
They do all these
Yeah.
really critical and amazing things that are very, very customer focused,
Yeah.
but still very much surprise and delight.
That is some great relevance driving stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, James Finn. It was great chatting with you.
Great to be here.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. We're here with our next guest, Alexandria Sumner from Snap.
From Snap.
Senior Director of Marketing. So I believe you've just started there.
I did.
Okay.
3 months ago.
3 months ago.
Just
Congratulations.
and change. Thank you.
That's exciting.
It is. It's very fun.
Yeah, awesome. You're new to Snap, but you're not new to marketing. You have a
Right.
pretty amazing career. Can you give our listeners just a little bit of a peek into what you've done leading into the last 3 months?
Yes. So I joined Snap 3 months ago. I was formerly at Meta. I had been there for about 11 years. I'd like to describe my career as being kind of few people that I think are born and bred in tech, like really like from its early days.
Like people from the mountains who have mushrooms.
Exactly. We were doing
That's
tech
the prototype.
back then,
That's deep.
you know, surprising, delightful. So I've spent most of my career in tech, and obviously a good chunk of it at Meta. And so 3 months ago, you know, I had spent a good chunk of my career there. I was interested, looking for something different, a bit of a change. Got recruited over to Snap, and I've been there for 3 months. I lead our Americas marketing and our global product marcoms function, which is actually a new function to Snap. So building out kind of for the first time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What an exciting job. So just like thinking casually, when I think of Snap, I think a lot of people think of Snap. Snap is so fluid, so I don't want to use the word cutting edge with Gen Z or maybe Gen Alpha, but it is, right? Like it is there on the front end of what's happening. I also, which is really amazing, I imagine could also present a challenge for a marketer, because you're like, where do I plant my flag in the ground with this group of people, which is like going like this.
Yes.
So my question to you is, how do you determine, with all the possible trends that you could take advantage of, like, but at Snap especially, how do you decide where to plant your flag?
Yeah, I think, you know, so we have a few different mantras at Snap that I think I have recently learned and adopted. But I think we kind of have a consumer product mantra, which is just about like, make it better. Like, make the product closely connect what people already want to do with the way that they interact with technology, which is, I think, why you're kind of describing the fluidity of the app. And I think that has served us really well. I do think that we're kind of at this point as a marketer, and a lot of my work is focused on business marketing, which is also an interesting aspect of the job. We're at the point where we're trying to create culture more than we're trying to chase it, which I think has become a challenge, especially in the younger demographics that are very, very rapidly and quickly evolving. And so we have really been starting to look at the areas where we can uniquely create culture. And there are areas that we're really deeply invested in, like music, entertainment, sports. These are areas that we have seen that, of course, in addition to just connecting with family and friends, which I think is very unique on Snapchat, you know, I think we have definitely positioned ourselves against a lot of other platforms that are very heavily about consumption, more passive engagement, right? And Snapchat has really sort of focused not just the product, but also the way that we position our brand as being more authentic, more intimate, more about connection with the people, the brands, the creators that you love. And so I think, to go back to your question, a big focus has been on creating culture that consumers, that businesses, that creators want to engage with in the spaces where it really is authentic to Snap, and not like fabricating it. You know, we talked about over the past few days, like, what is it? How do you decide when to jump on a trend or on a brand you know, message? And I think those are interesting, and we certainly explore those. But I think us authentically sort of creating the space where culture can actually be developed and thrive on Snapchat has been more of the focus for us than chasing trends.
Creating, not chasing.
Yes.
Love that. Okay, last question. A CMO that you admire or you think is crushing it, not named Grace.
I was like, is that a trick question?
Not a trick.
Oh, gosh. There are so many. This is a really hard one, but I'm going to give a shout out to Jessica Jensen, CMO of LinkedIn. I've really, you know, as a user, as many of us are on LinkedIn, I've really loved the way that she is like revitalizing the brand on LinkedIn. I think making it more social, making it more, I think, consumable for like the everyday individual that is new to LinkedIn even. And you know, I many years ago worked with Jess, but I have had a chance to kind of observe her career, and I've really enjoyed seeing like how she has been able to transform technology into a really likable and social space. And so I've really enjoyed that. And of course, she's is just
She's
a hoot.
likable and a hoot and a crusher. I mean, she's amazing.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for Marketing for the Now.
Thank you.
All right. We are here with our next guest, Calvin Purcell from St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Correct.
Okay, great. Calvin, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. What is your title again?
I'm the Vice President of Community Management, and I'm actually work for ALSAC. It's the fundraising and awareness organization for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
For St. Jude. Awesome. Well, we're really excited to have you, and I'm going to jump in with a meaty question.
Fantastic.
Which is about your collaborations with corporate partners, celebrities, or creators. How do you use those, or how do those help you amplify the St. Jude mission and message?
So very important. So if we're going to go just this summer, we had Ryan Trahan doing 50 states in 50 days, and that was incredible. It really touched a brand new audience for us. He brought his audience with us, and he learned about St. Jude during that time, and it just extended us into a new place we really hadn't been inside of that Gen Alpha, Gen Z space really, really strongly.
How did that come about?
He came to us, really.
No kidding.
So he worked with some other creators, and those creators he was talking to, and he was like, "Hey, I think I want to do this for St. Jude," and they said, "You should. Like, they're fantastic."
Wow.
And so he did this, and they worked on it for months and months with our team, and he had this concept that he wanted to do. He really kind of had it mapped out. He had his idea, and we trusted him with it, and he just did a fantastic job. Him and his wife Haley.
Wow.
Traveled all over the country, and it was fantastic. It was
That
a
is
cultural
special.
moment. They wrote songs about it. There was actually a song on Songful, I believe, about the 50 states.
That's cool.
And then, of course, Chili's. They've been such a great partner for us for so long.
Right.
And they've just made a strong comeback.
Yeah.
George Felix is really driving that.
Oh, George is an amazing guy.
He's amazing.
Shout out to George Felix.
Shout out to George Felix.
Had a great dinner with him in Dallas at a sushi restaurant.
That
Great guy.
Cheese pull from the TikTok video. Oh, man.
Of course. Shout out to George. Okay. So I love this next question for you because of the length of your career at St. Jude, and it is about driving relevance. So think back to Calvin of 20 years ago, and if he was asked how he was going to drive relevance for St. Jude versus how you would answer that question today, right? Like, how has that changed for you?
So socials. So 20 years ago, I mean, what was Facebook? What TikTok didn't exist.
We barely had computers.
Everybody was talking about their MySpace page, if you will. You didn't have phones that you were carrying around everywhere.
Yep.
So it's very different. And then just the rise of the influencer and how important influencers are in today's culture.
Yeah.
Go back to Ryan again, Michelle Carre, who's fantastic, who did stuff for us, and just the number of influencers. We have an entire Play Live program just for gamers who have spent years really telling the story to this gaming community. It's so good.
The gaming community.
Yeah.
Okay, that was double click into that. Tell me more about that.
So I'm not even sure. I think it's almost 10 years now. They started, hey, there's these gamers and they really care about the mission, but they want to do it through their passion, which is gaming.
Yeah.
And so we started leaning into that, and then over the years it's just really grown. We have wonderful gamers who just care so much about the mission, and they're telling their audiences on Twitch or wherever they might be about the mission, and they're bringing this whole new community, and have brought over the last 10 years this whole new community into it. It's really been fantastic. And they're just so passionate about what they do, but also passionate about the mission.
There are a lot of modern big brands that could take a page out of that. I'm not even joking. That could take a page out of your book on that. That is pretty cool that you guys are doing that.
You got to lean into it. So we're leaning into their world. We're not saying, hey, you have to do it this way. We're leaning into that world. And if you're going to lean into and really drive your mission and your passion through influencers, you have to let them be them.
Yeah, 100%.
And so that was Ryan, and that was Play Live.
Yeah. That is a theme that we've had on a couple of our interviews, is like, if you're going to work with them, let them do their thing.
If you come up with a
Don't
script,
overbrief them, right?
Yeah, if you come up with a script and say, hey, I want you to say this in an exact way, what have you done? You've taken them out of their element.
Right.
You brought them there because they were them, and they were and they needed their audience.
Because you can pay anyone to read a whole script.
Absolutely.
That's not what you're hiring them for.
No.
So really interesting from St. Jude, and you said the term like leaning in, right? So you guys are leaning into some really modern marketing practices to drive relevance in a really amazing way. And St. Jude has an amazing legacy.
Correct.
Right? Like a legacy built on trust and care and the amazing things that St. Jude does and represents. So how do you balance all of that brand equity, right? You have an amazing brand with the leaning in part, right? Because that's like the threading the needle is like you're doing all these things that are so forward leaning, and you also have to make sure that you're protecting and nurturing a brand that has such respect.
Absolutely. We have a legacy. I mean, we're standing on the shoulders of giants who have really built this brand up so long, and it's pristine and it's beautiful and people trust it.
Yeah.
There's an authenticity to it, and we have to really know that and trust that and lean into it. So we lean into it with very specific influencers. You have to know the influencer that you're working with.
Yeah.
We're not going to work with everybody. Ryan and Haley, they align so closely with us.
Yeah.
Michelle Carre aligns so closely, Chili's, all the brands and the influencers. So you first have to know who you're going to align with.
Yep.
And so if you're aligning with the right people and their values align with your values, then you're good.
Yeah.
So we're not with everybody.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty simple. It's all about relationships. Get to know them. They get to know you. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And it might take a while. You're not going to say, hey, we have to do it this Thursday. So that conversation is going to take a while. And if you do it long term, it's a long-term strategy, you'll get where you need to be.
And if they were to suggest that Memphis barbecue was not the best in the country, you probably would not work with them.
Well,
that probably would not be a fit.
We would have a longer conversation. It's a longer conversation and just help them understand. We take them to good places, and they'd understand.
I'm sure they would get there.
They would get there.
I'm sure they would get there.
Yes.
So, because there's bigger things at play.
Absolutely.
All right, my last question is, any industry, doesn't matter, a CMO that you think is crushing it or that you respect?
We just talked about him. George Felix.
George Felix.
I mean, do we say any more? I mean, that video and the way that they've done, how they've leaned into social and how they really brought them into the modern. I just heard this, and we were talking just about this exact thing 5 minutes ago. There is a Halloween costume with the cheese pull.
Are you serious?
There's a Halloween costume with the cheese pull, the Chili's brick cheese pull.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So you've really got to a brand when you're that way. So shout out to George Felix.
That is creating culture.
Creating culture. So good.
Amazing. Awesome. Calvin, thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. All right, we are here with our next guest, Danielle Macaluso, Head of Global Comms, Social Media, and Influence for Kate Spade.
Yes.
Welcome to Marketing for the Now.
Thank you
We're
so much
excited
for
to have you
having
here.
me.
So this type of title can mean different things to different companies. So can you unpack a little bit what it means at Kate Spade in your role?
Yes, absolutely. So at Kate Spade, it is global PR, social media, content marketing, and community management, and then influencer marketing from a paid, owned, and earned lens.
Paid, owned, and earned. So there's a lot of things going on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very cool. I have to start because I had the benefit of hearing a little story from you yesterday. And we talked also briefly about you're very fashionable yourself, but you had a great Kate Spade story. Can you give like the short version, like the 1 minute version of that Kate Spade?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
So I recently joined Kate Spade.
How recently?
It was in July.
July. So this is new news. Yep.
Yeah, and it was a big change for me. I was with my former company for a long time.
Yep.
And, when I got the email from the recruiter and they reached out and they said Kate Spade, I was like, oh my God, my teenage self is totally geeking out right now. My first memory of Kate Spade was my freshman year of college, discovering this bag that my best friend brought home. And that's when my love affair started. And it was probably, the worst thing for my parents.
Right.
Because it then became, top of the Christmas wish list and birthday wish list for many years after that too. So while I feel bad for them on that note, I think it really did spark my desire to get into marketing and fashion.
So I think and the reason I brought this up first is I think because of that story and your personal Kate Spade brand encounter, that this next question is going to be really interesting to hear you answer, which is about driving relevance for the brand today, right? And how do you keep such an iconic brand in an industry where the looks change, everything's changing? How do you keep it fresh?
I think that's a question I wish I had the answer to.
Come on, you've already been since
many
July.
heritage brands.
You should know this by now.
I think it's a balance. It's a balance of staying true to who you are.
Yep.
And not alienating your current consumer,
Okay.
but also kind of looking to the trends that make sense for your brand mission and are aligned as a way to just be cool and relevant to a younger consumer and bring them into the brand.
Yep.
So it's definitely a balance, but it's one that I think that
this brand is so ripe for, especially with the trend of Y2K and nostalgic marketing. Kate really did invent the accessible luxury handbag market globally.
Yeah.
And that's something I think we can tap into and reignite in a really fantastic way.
Yeah. Now, Kate Spade, iconic. We're talking about keeping it fresh. Kate Spade is already doing some really forward-leaning things, like the work with Ice Spice
Yes.
and Charlie D'Amelio. What inspired that activation?
Honestly, I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. The fabulous team that I've joined really had the insight, the bravery, and the creativity to say, hey, we really want to tap into Gen Z. But we need to do it in a way that's really bold and unexpected. And one of the things that Kate did and left as a legacy is a lot of her brand collaborations were always a bit witty and with a hint of quirk.
Okay.
And she did some really cool things, especially in the novelty bag space. So I think in paying honor to
A lot
that.
of people wouldn't think of it that way, but that's so interesting the way you said that. The
Yeah,
wittiness angle.
The wittiness angle. And I think they took a bit of that, and then they took a lot of research into who are really the Gen Z females that are the most followed and really have the strongest community behind them on social. And they looked at them through the lens of Kate Spade. And I think it was a fabulous duo that they brought into the brand.
Yeah, so interesting. Okay, looking forward, when you think about, so you said since July, right?
Yes.
Since July, so you have a few months under your belt. You're thinking, obviously, a lot of your planning now is all about 2026, maybe even early 2027. What do you think are going to be, if you were going to say, how do you think about influencers in 2026 versus 2025? Are there any ways that you're thinking of like tweaking or doubling down? Like, what are you thinking about when you think about influencers for Kate Spade in 2026?
So for us in 2026, I think it's going to be about accelerating tremendously. We've had a lot of great discussions, this week about AI and about content and how to really show up in a relevant and compelling way. And I think it's all going to be rooted in scale, but also quality. So how do we continue to grow our, we call it a pyramid of advocacy across all tiers to target the Gen Z consumer that we want to bring into the brand.
So you mentioned scale and quality of content. So those can be sometimes at odds for brands.
Yes.
Right? How are you guys navigating that?
So I really feel strongly that it's all about really the creator leading. They know their audience. They know how to speak to them. They know the trends that will land and won't. And if you allow them to really co-create with you and just keep the brief simple, focus on the product, because that's what we do well, and really allow them the creative runway to come back with content that they know is going to make an impact and that their audience is going to like and share, because that's ultimately what we want.
So what you're saying is actually really relevant to what a lot of marketers are thinking about, because a lot of times brands pay for, they lay out the money for the creator or the influencer because of their specialty, but then they kind of put handcuffs on that person with a really overcomplicated brief, and you're in the, hey, if you're paying them because of what they're good at, let them do what they're why we hired them.
Yeah, and I think it's simplifying, because I think we often get into that place where all of a sudden we're like, oh, and this, and this, and this, because we're doing so many things, right? And especially if you think about holiday, because we're on the cusp of holiday shopping, there's so many different sales, and there's so many different gift guides and people to shop for and different angles to pitch. But you really have to look at the creators by, what type of content works on their platform. So some could be really great at shopping. We've talked a lot about affiliates and live streaming and TikTok shop. So work there with them on those briefs, but then really focus on where you have your lifestyle or your fashion girls on the content that's going to land better for them. So it's not really about, you could still do it all, but I think you have to pair the right creator and the right audience with the right content and the right message. And that's why we need to scale, because we have to work with a lot of different people.
A lot of different creators, right, to do that. That's right. Amazing. I mean, that is some solid marketing 101 on like how people should be thinking about creators and influencers, if I may say so.
Thank you.
Legit. Okay, last question is one CMO, any industry that you think is crushing it or you look up to.
I'm really enjoying seeing all of the great stuff that Kelly Mahoney is doing at Ulta right now.
Oh, at Ulta.
I think all of
Ulta's
the stuff,
hot.
it's super hot.
Yeah.
You know, I have a soon-to-be niece that is like a bonus niece.
Yeah.
And she is constantly telling me, you know, about all the cool products.
Yeah.
And I love the
How old is the
inclusivity
niece?
of Ulta. She is 13,
Okay.
and I love Ulta for her because she can shop at all price points.
Yeah.
And in all categories.
Yeah.
And I love what they're doing with the salons and the stores. I love what they're doing with their program to really tap into the people that know the brand best,
Yeah.
who are on the front lines, your beauty advisors in the stores, to create social content.
Yep.
So it's really fun watching them now go global.
Yep.
And I'm excited to see what she does next.
Yeah, that's a great answer because there's a lot going on with Ulta.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thank you so much. Our next guest is Doug Gray from Barton Gray. Welcome.
Thank you.
My great introduction to Doug was I said, oh, Gray, so there's an actual Gray behind Barton Gray.
Yes.
So it was a very graceful start at
Yeah.
lunch today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, it's true. A lot of brand names are not based on.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
so let's start with something very simple because many of our viewers and listeners might not be familiar with Barton Gray. Can you just
Yeah.
give the executive summary of what
Sure.
your company's doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's two words: concierge yachting. Right? It's sort of somewhere between a country club and a ski pass, where if you're a member of Barton Gray, you get access to not just one boat, but all the boats in all the harbors from Maine to the West Indies to the Great Lakes and everywhere in between. Yeah.
So it's membership?
Annual membership.
Annual membership.
Yep. And
Okay.
the boats are all crewed. We have a concierge team that organizes your outing. So everything you want done, whether it's a very special experience on board or you just want PB&Js and
Yeah.
cold beer and everything in between. And
Amazing.
we host all kinds of corporate events, weddings, casual trips. We go scalloping. We go to oyster farms. We're in cities. We're in New York, Chicago, Washington, Boston, and Miami.
Yeah.
We're in lots of sandbars and places in the Keys and
a great
everything in
footprint.
between. Yeah, so you can the experience is really great as a member. You can take all the work of the 300 plus marine professionals have spent not just their time at Barton Gray, but a lot of them their whole lives boating, and it's available to you as a
Fantastic.
member.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, I've asked this to a couple of people already, and I'm thinking about it for you being a premium experience, a premium brand.
Yeah.
How do you balance the need to drive relevance, and relevance today is so different with the platforms. You think of like TikTok and Instagram Reels and the way relevance shows up there with building long-term brand equity, right? Because in the past that wouldn't have been much of a potential conflict.
Sure.
But what does that mean for you guys?
Well, it's really rooted in IRL actually, because the yachting and boating is super local.
Okay.
Like understanding the best anchorages in certain winds, or where's the best spot to see
Yeah.
the fireworks, and what restaurants have docks that you can pull up to, and knowing the dock masters, and all of that local stuff, and supporting the local organizations that are protecting those waters and
Yeah.
being relevant in those harbors at a very community-based level.
Yep.
And we're in over 40 harbors.
Okay.
So we take that IRL relevance,
Yep.
community relevance,
Yep.
and we really promote and celebrate those communities through our marketing.
So for me, I'm not a boat guy, but
Yeah.
but I could see how that would interest me because
Yeah.
I think that engenders maybe some authenticity
No question
about what you're doing.
No question.
Right.
Authenticity's been such an important part of our brand. We ask you to give us quite a bit of money to be a member.
Yeah.
And our consumer, the ultra high net worth consumer, is a lot like my 18-year-old daughter. They can smell authenticity.
Absolutely.
They have a great nose for it.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
So we strive on that, and it's also it's the right thing to do. I mean, all the organizations that are protecting the waters and our coastal organizations to protect the oysters and the fish and the seals, they're protecting us too. We are a seal.
Yeah.
We don't
Right.
survive if that water isn't clean and good.
Right, yeah.
So it's critical.
No one wants to yacht around in
No.
gross, stinky water.
No, they do not. Yeah.
That's a basic idea.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What platforms are you guys on social media?
Instagram's really big for us.
Primary, okay.
Well, and LinkedIn
Okay.
is really big for us as well. I mean, we have a very professional group of people. Like, if you think of the average Barton Gray member, it's somebody who's probably at the peak of their career, where
Right.
the most valuable asset they have is time.
Yep.
And their free time is they have almost none of it.
I would mention LinkedIn as a platform. I mean, we talk a lot at VaynerMedia about being an underutilized platform, and for you, I would imagine.
into it. Yeah, we're really leaning into it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt that one of my best friends just started working there, and he's giving
Oh,
me
amazing.
giving me a lot of
Well, one of my good friends is
insights.
Jessica Jensen, the CMO.
Oh,
so
you taught me.
Well,
yeah.
no, I'm not trying to. I mean, you're in yachts.
Yeah,
but, you know,
right.
it's okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no, we really think that we're not trying to interrupt anyone. We actually do try to use LinkedIn to be relevant in the conversations about like the community and branding and business, but also, I mean, we have such a problem hiring at almost every part of our business, and while you'd be surprised, but like,
How do you have a hard time hiring into a business like yours?
well,
It's really interesting.
A lot of tradespeople. Right, so diesel mechanics, electricians, glass workers, metal workers, sea captains. These are highly skilled people.
Oh, wow.
And
Right.
are in, you know.
I would imagine
high
they'd be at a
demand.
premium. And
You're in a premium, and like a lot of things that we're seeing in our country is like we have under invested in the trades. When it's turning around, I think because we're all there, most young people are like, look how much money I can make in trades,
Right.
and it's guaranteed.
Right.
So I think we're going to see a shift.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that, actually.
Yeah.
Last question. A CMO,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter any industry, someone
Yeah.
you admire or you think that is just like doing really cool things.
Well, we recently partnered with NetJets, and they're a very similar brand to ours, and they do things really quietly. And we also partnered with the Amman, and they do things very quietly.
Right.
And that is like really impressing me about like the power of like, it's not scarcity.
Yeah.
It really is. They want you to be introduced to their brand from a customer more than from their own voice.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of work. That's not a cop out.
It's also a big payoff, though.
Huge payoff.
Huge
Conversions are amazing in
Yeah.
that sense. So we do quite a bit of that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Our conversion rates for people who've been on our boat with members,
Yeah.
5 to 1.
Yeah.
Someone who hasn't. So
I mean, it's like the butts and seats strategy,
that's
right?
it. That's
Once you
just
get
it.
them there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you remember Saturn cars?
Yeah.
So their metric was if you get someone to come to the store and hit the side of the car with a hammer and it wouldn't dent,
Yeah.
it was like you were going to buy that
Yeah,
car.
right.
So that's all they did. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how we
But
think.
just no hammers around the boats.
We don't supply any hammers.
No hammers allowed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can smash a bottle of champagne on
That's
the bow.
what we're
That's
talking about.
That's about
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Doug, this has been really fun.
Yeah, great to hang
really
out. Yeah, this
fun learning about
this
Barton
whole
Gray.
event is fantastic.
And
you
your
guys,
Bugie?
Burgie.
Burgie.
We'll get there.
Yes. All right. Awesome. Thank you. This has been
Thank
Doug
you.
Gray with Barton Gray.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right. I'm back with our next guest at Marketing for the Now with Jackie Klein from Clorox. Jackie, welcome.
Thanks,
We,
Jonathan.
we have listeners and viewers, and we're so excited that you're here, that you took your time. So we're going to get into serious questions in a minute, but let's start with a couple of light things, which is, first of all, tell us your title, how long you've been at Clorox, and what does your title actually mean? Like, what do you really do?
So I have been with Clorox now for almost 10 years, coming up on 10 years in 2026. And I am our VP of Brand and Strategy, and I'm focused on our health and hygiene group, which is the part of the company that has our international business. So all of our brands that we have
What would
internationally.
be a few brands that would fit in that portfolio?
So it would be the Clorox brand. It would be brands such as Glad, Everclean. So we have many different brands internationally.
Some icons.
And then our U.S. cleaning business and professional business is also on that side of the company.
Okay, awesome, great. Almost 10 years.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So when you think about relevance as a marketer, what does it mean to you?
I think, relevance to me is about building long-term and lasting relationships with people, those relationships that create an enduring loyalty
Yep.
for brands. But it also means translating that into being able to earn attention, every day, which is increasingly a hard thing to do
Yep.
as a marketer. And as I think about, what we're trying to do today as brands, we're trying to put the consumer at the center. We're trying to anticipate their needs. We're trying to understand them and deliver
something that to them is a superior experience, and build that lasting relationship with consumers just on a human level.
Yep.
And for us, it all starts with the consumer, and that's how you build relevance ultimately, and earn that attention in a culture where that's increasingly challenging, to get that mind share. But I think it's all about listening more than it is talking. It's about finding ways to just be in the flow of consumers' lives and in culture, and being able to do that in a way that's ongoing.
Finding ways to be in the flow of consumers' life. Actually, that's really well said, because you don't want to feel like an interruption in their life. You want to be in the flow of their life.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Fun fact, advertising, the word advert, it's literally to get their attention away from something else. So you're describing being in the flow, which can be a way to add value. Okay, so my next question is about a balance. So a lot of people might not know, Clorox is really leaning in and leaning forward in how you're doing marketing and driving relevance. And if you don't know that, then I would say just look up Pine Sol and Brita on your favorite social channel. So you're doing a lot of really forward-looking, forward-leaning things. You also are sitting in a company with an iconic, how old is Clorox, the brand? It's over 100 years old.
Over 100 years
old.
old.
Yeah, over 100 years old. I've been in the lobby of that building. I've seen it's like a museum case display, right?
Yes.
It's actually pretty interesting.
Yes.
So how do you balance the stuff, like you're doing things that are really, really super culturally cool, driving relevance, driving conversation across many of your brands. Hidden Valley Ranch is another one, right? While also having a portfolio that includes such iconic brands where you have to think about the brand equity, like long term.
It's a great question. I think that you have to do both. That's the challenge that we have as marketers and leaders, right? It's yes and. It's a constant focus on both. And I think it comes down to having a very clear sense of where you want to take the equity in the long term, having that clear strategy, that vision of where you're trying to go. It makes it easier then on an everyday basis to say, am I moving in the right direction? Am I moving towards that vision that I have and that dream that you have in your mind of where you want to take the brand? And then if you have clear growth strategies, you have a very clear intention of what you're trying to do, it can then, those two things work together. And I think if you are clear on that strategy, it just transcends everything and makes the execution easier.
Yep, love that. So on the human side, marketers are all humans too, and we like to look at the work that we put out into the world, and we see something we make for Instagram or TikTok, and we want to look at how many people shared it and what are the comments, right? We do that, all of us do that. So we tend to look at engagement and impressions as a measure of relevance. But besides those things, how are you gauging brand relevance?
I don't think there's a perfect measurement system, for this.
True.
I think a few things come to mind. I think first it's, fundamentally, are you winning in what you're trying to accomplish in terms of, kind of the fundamentals out in the market? Are you growing at the rate that you aspire to? Are you sourcing volume from the place that you want to? Is your total offering coming together as superior for consumers? Are you delivering a proposition, an overall product and, experience that they choose regularly? I think also, are you showing up in organic social culture and the way that you intend to? Does your brand regularly earn that relevance, so to speak, that you want just by showing up in the places that you intend? And then third, one of the things I love to do is stay very close to how, your super fans, so to speak, are really talking about you. And that can be on social. That can also be, in consumer reviews and comments that you get. And that is where I love to see is that richness and that relationship building over time in the way that it should. And so it's really following all consumers.
Love it. Last question. 10 years at Clorox almost, a career, great successful career before that, leading up to your time at Clorox. One thing that has changed in your career in the marketing landscape?
Oh, so many things have changed
pick one.
in the time that I've been in marketing, Jonathan. I would say, fundamentally the first screen being the phone has been the absolute biggest change, and all that's come with it in terms of, empowering and connecting the world to be social creators. And
Yeah.
I think that is such an exciting thing to have witnessed and changed the way that we really have to create that pool and earn our place in culture, going back to attention, as we were talking about.
Change the screen. That's it. It's everything. All right. Jackie Klein from Clorox, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
It's great to be here.
You bet. I'm so excited to be sitting here doing marketing for the Now with Christiana Weller. Welcome.
Thank you.
Christiana is a VP of marketing at Blade. So how long have you been at Blade, and where did you come from to Blade?
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I have been at Blade for 3 years now, and prior to that, I was at SoulCycle for 6 years, really helping the brand get through the pandemic and shift the entire business to an outdoor studio business to keep it running.
Amazing, amazing. Cool. And what was the attraction for you to go to Blade?
Well, the VP of marketing at SoulCycle, one of my greatest mentors, Roisin Branch, became CMO at Blade and brought me with her. So it was an easy.
That's a good story.
Blade found me in a way.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the news, I think officially it was in August.
Yeah,
It's
late
October
August.
now. Was Joby's acquisition of Blade.
Yes.
So you're a VP of marketing. You've been with Blade for a couple of years. You see this acquisition happen. So how is this affecting the way you're looking at marketing the brand going into 2026?
Yeah, we're super excited about the acquisition. Fun fact about Blade actually is that the name is Blade Urban Air Mobility, and it was always that name. It wasn't Blade Helicopters or Blade Heli.
Urban Air Mobility. I was trying to see if it said like BUAM.
It does, really? Technically, yeah, that's our nickname.
BUAM?
Internally.
Does anyone say that?
Internally, we do.
Here, you heard it here first. Internally at Blade, it's BUAM.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Okay.
But the reason why we never called it helicopters was because the future goal was always to move towards electrical aircraft and eVTOL. So
Interesting.
We're very excited that that's the direction we're going in under the leadership of Joby.
Yeah.
And, I was able to see one of our test flights on Friday in Santa Cruz, and it's very exciting.
I think it's interesting what you just said about Blade and the word, because I can remember the first time a friend of mine in New York said he bladed.
Yeah,
He
blades
didn't
as a
helicopter.
verb.
As a verb.
Yep.
And it just sounded like he was being a little bougie.
Yeah,
I
of
bladed.
course, as you should.
As he should be, because it is bougie, but in a good way. But also, I can also hear the strategic reasoning behind why you would want it to be a verb.
Totally.
Because the flexibility it would give you from a brand.
Yeah, and I think that that's such an honor for a brand to achieve verb status.
100%.
And we, in our messaging and everything, we always try to say blade.
Wow.
Like fly blade or take a blade or I bladed, just because we want it to feel like a premium, different experience. And, it's more than just taking a flight.
Maybe someday to Christiana something will be a verb.
I love that.
We'll
my
have to
own
think of what that
personal
would
brand.
mean, right? They really
Exactly.
Christiana'd that execution.
Right, they crushed it.
Yeah, that would be crushing.
Exactly.
Christiana'd it.
Yep.
Right on. Good.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Cool. All right. So big topic going to 2026 for a lot of brands is experiential, right? And like real world experiences. And I mean, Blade is such an ultimate of real world experiences, right?
Yeah.
I shared with you over lunch, I had an experience with Blade. I was very fortunate. And I had that little red luggage tag thing. It's just like it's not a zip tie. It's not a real luggage tag. It's the little, what's the name for that thing?
Yeah, a luggage tag.
It is a luggage tag.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have it on my suitcase 2 years later. I've just left it on because it's red. It helps me identify my suitcase. Mm-hmm. It's also a little,
yeah, it's a badge
casual,
of honor.
Little badge of honor if anyone ever saw it. Not that it would matter.
Yeah.
So I just think you have so much to say about, because the Blade brand means so many things. So I'm curious about your thoughts on what you think brand marketers might be missing when they think about experiences for customers.
Yeah, I think for a luxury product and more of like a premium product, a lot of the times what's missing is the hospitality element, and that's what is a differentiator for us. Like, we are, at the end of the day, we are a hospitality company. We have premium lounges across the globe. Your Blade flight starts in a Blade lounge on the east or west side of Manhattan, and it ends in a Blade lounge at the airport. And that's what is the connective tissue with this whole journey and the whole experience for our flyer, is that when you walk in, we know what kind of drink you want. We know that you're going to have your Rimowa bag we're going to have to change out your luggage tag. And we just know how to take care of our flyers and what they need. So I think the hospitality and the loyalty component is really important to remember.
Amazing. One CMO in the industry that you either look up to or you think is crushing it, not somebody you work for?
Oh, that's a good question.
Someone you think is really Christiana-ing their job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really look up to Avery now at VaynerMedia. I worked with her at Cannes Lion last year.
I do too.
And watching Vayner turn 30 minutes of content into 100 micro videos and post them throughout the day has been really motivating for me. And then also today I loved meeting Shelly from the Female Quotient.
She was incredible.
I think that she brings empathy to leadership in a really badass way, which is super inspiring to me personally.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.